Before Jack the Ripper, there was H. Holmes. He wasn't just a killer. He was an architect of death who designed a hotel with gas chambers, body chutes, and surgical tables to create his own personal hell on earth. The rain tapped against the narrow windows. The hallway was long, stretching into a darkness that seemed to breathe. Gas lamps flickered, casting tall, crooked shadows along the peeling wallpaper. The air smelled faintly of iron, mixed with a sharp sting of disinfectant. Her footsteps echoed against the creaking wooden floor, each step louder than the last. Somewhere above, a faint thud broke the silence, followed by the sound of dragging. She froze, listening. The sound came again, slower this time, like something heavy being pulled. Her throat tightened. The walls here felt closer, pressing inward, as if the entire building wanted to keep her trapped. She passed a doorway and glanced inside. A single operating table stood in the center, its metal surface wet under the dim light. Straps hung loosely from the sides. A rusted tray of tools waited nearby, scissors, knives, and something long with a hook. The smell here was worse, thick and sour, making her stomach twist. From the far end of the room, a door creaked open. A tall figure stepped inside, his white coat speckled with something dark. His eyes did not blink as he looked at her. His voice was calm, almost gentle, as he said her name. She wanted to run, but her feet felt rooted to the floor. His smile was slow, unsettling, like he enjoyed the fear creeping over her face. The room seemed to shrink around them, the shadows growing longer, darker. He lifted a tool from the tray, its cold metal gleaming under the flickering light. A sudden, sharp noise echoed, a scream muffled behind thick walls. Her heart pounded, each beat louder than the last, drowning out all reason. He took a step closer, his breath faint but smelling of chemicals and something rotten. The walls whispered stories of pain, of screams that never left, of lives stolen in silence. She could see it now, the twisted maze of corridors beyond the door, endless rooms designed for horrors. The doctor's castle was not a home. It was a trap, a place where trust was broken and nightmares were born. And in that moment, she knew she was not the first to walk these halls in fear. He raised the tool, his eyes locking onto hers. There was no mercy there, only darkness waiting to consume. A cold shiver ran down her spine as the realization hit her. Escape was a fading hope. Every breath became a struggle, thick and heavy in the stale air. The faint sound of chains rattling echoed again, closer this time, dragging nearer like a dreadful heartbeat. She backed away slowly, the floorboards groaning beneath her weight. The doctor's gaze never wavered. It was like he was watching a predator closing in on its prey. A distant scream pierced the silence, sharp and desperate, making her knees tremble. Her eyes darted toward the heavy door at the far end of the room, the one that led deeper into the castle's secret. The doctor stepped forward, reaching out with a hand pale as death. His fingers curled, inviting, but there was no kindness in his touch. The walls seemed to pulse, the shadows twisting into shapes that whispered unspeakable horrors. The air grew colder, biting at her skin, as if the castle itself was alive and hungry. Her mind screamed for escape, but her body betrayed her, frozen in terror. She felt the cold steel of the tool brush against her arm, a final warning from a nightmare that had already begun. Her breath caught as the cold steel pressed closer, sharp and unforgiving. The room seemed to shrink, the walls closing like the jaws of some monstrous beast. In the flickering lamplight, she saw the glint of countless eyes watching from hidden corners, silent witnesses to the horrors within. The doctor's smile twisted into something darker, more sinister. He leaned in, whispering words that chilled her soul, promises wrapped in menace. Behind him, a trapdoor creaked open, revealing a spiral staircase descending into utter darkness. From below, faint cries echoed, desperate, broken, lost. Her heart screamed for her to run, but her feet remained glued to the spot. Suddenly, a cold hand grasped her wrist with iron strength. She gasped, struggling against the grip, but it was no use. The doctor's voice cut through the silence like a blade. "Welcome to the true heart of the castle," he said, dragging her toward the abyss below. With every step downward, the air grew thicker, heavier, suffocating. She realized Too late. That this was a place from which no one escaped. The darkness swallowed them whole as they descended deeper. The faint light from above faded, replaced by a cold, unnatural glow. Walls slick with dampness closed in around her, whispering secrets of agony and despair. Echoes of distant sobs and hollow laughter bounced off the stone. Her pulse thundered in her ears, drowning out everything else. The doctor's grip never loosened, guiding her toward the unknown. Suddenly, the stairs ended at a heavy iron door, its surface scarred and stained. He pushed it open slowly, revealing a room bathed in eerie, sickly green light. Inside, tables and instruments lined the walls, stained with rust and dry blood. Figures lay motionless. Shadows cast over faces twisted in silent screams. Her breath hitched as she realized they were not dead, just trapped. The doctor turned, eyes gleaming with cold satisfaction. "This is my masterpiece," he said softly, "where pain meets perfection." Fear paralyzed her as the door slammed shut behind them, locking her inside the murder castle forever. A chilling silence fell, broken only by the slow drip of water from the cracked ceiling. She pressed her hands against the cold floor, searching for any weakness in the walls. But there was none, only cold stone and unforgiving metal. The room seemed alive with unseen horrors, shadows shifting just beyond her sight. Her mind raced, desperate for a plan, a way out of this nightmare. The doctor moved methodically, preparing his tools with unsettling calm. His eyes never left her, filled with a madness that chilled her to the bone. A sudden clatter echoed as a rusted cage door swung open. Inside, a figure stirred, eyes wide with terror and pleading for help. Her heart broke at the sight, but hope was fleeting. The doctor smiled, a cruel, triumphant smile. "No one leaves here," he whispered, and with that, the room plunged into darkness, trapping her in the most terrifying chapter of the castle's deadly history. The darkness wrapped around her like a suffocating shroud. She strained her eyes, trying to pierce the blackness, but there was nothing, only silence, thick and oppressive. Her breathing grew shallow, every inhale sharp and desperate. Suddenly, a faint glimmer flickered in the distance, like the dying breath of a candle. Instinct pushed her forward, trembling hands reaching out into the void. The cold floor beneath her knees sent shivers through her body. As she crawled, the whispers of the trapped souls seemed to rise, their voices overlapping in a haunting chorus. The doctor's footsteps echoed behind her, slow, deliberate, and unyielding. She could feel his presence closing in, a predator stalking its prey. A sudden gust of icy air swept through the chamber, carrying the scent of decay and despair. She knew then that the castle was more than a building. It was a living nightmare, born from the darkest corners of a twisted mind. With every desperate move, the walls seemed to tighten their grip, pulling her deeper into the abyss. And somewhere, just beyond reach, the doctor's cold laughter echoed, a promise that escape was nothing but a cruel illusion. Her trembling fingers brushed against something cold and metallic, a door handle worn and rusted, but real. Hope surged like a spark in the darkness, igniting a fierce determination. She pulled, the door groaning open to reveal a narrow corridor lit by flickering candles. The air here was different, less suffocating, tinged with faint hints of fresh air and freedom. She stumbled forward, heart pounding in her ears, every shadow threatening to drag her back. Behind her, the heavy footsteps quickened, the doctor's voice low and threatening. But she did not stop. The corridor twisted and turned, a labyrinth designed to confuse and trap. Her hands traced the cold stone walls, seeking an exit, any exit. Suddenly, a soft light spilled from an archway ahead, a way out. With one last burst of courage, she sprinted toward it, the doctor's rage burning just steps behind. She crossed the threshold and burst into night, gasping for the sweet air of freedom. The castle loomed behind her, dark and silent, its secret safe for now. She did not look back as she ran through the cold night, the damp earth soft beneath her feet, her breath ragged but free. The shadows of the murder castle fading behind her like a bad dream. The moon hung high, its pale light washing away the darkness that had clung so tightly. For the first time in what felt like forever, she tasted hope, though the scars of that place would linger deep within her. She carried with her a fierce resolve to expose the horrors hidden within those walls, to make sure no one else would ever fall prey to the most terrifying doctor in history. And as dawn broke over the horizon, she knew her fight had only just begun.